What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. I'm Ryan Brower, and today we're here to have a chat about Star Wars The Bad Batch, Episode 10 of Season 2, Retrieval. But first up, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm currently on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers here on Sector for Nerds by the end of this year. If we can do that, we will do a watch party live stream of an entire Star Wars trilogy. Now, which trilogy that we do, we'll set up a poll down the line and we can figure that out. But in the meantime, tell your friends, family, neighbors, loved ones, tell them to subscribe to Sector for Nerds. Also, if you guys head over to my other YouTube channel called Top 10 Character Moments and subscribe there as well, that would also be greatly appreciated. I'll leave a link in the description below. And starting next week, you guys, it'll be March 1st. So that means we're going to have Bad Batch Season 2 to cover and Mandalorian Season 3. So my plan is going to be that we're going to do one video discussion on Wednesday and then the next video discussion on Thursday. As far as like which show I cover first, I guess it's all just kind of depend in the moment, right? Like it could be whichever episode I watch first. It could be whichever episode has a bigger point of discussion in it. I guess we'll just have to see. Just know that you'll get one video on Wednesday and the other on Thursday. Alright, so let's talk about Bad Batch Episode 10 of Season 2. I keep meaning to say Season 2 first, but I never end up doing it. There were definitely some things when the episode started that I wasn't expecting, but then there were things that I was expecting towards the middle to end of this episode. Bad Batch were working on a speeder, and Omega was like, hey, we can track Gonki to see where he is, and we can find out where our ship is. And I'm like, oh yeah, they do have Gonki on the ship. They could probably, that totally works, Omega. Good job. And then the person that stole the Marauder revealed itself, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Is my prediction from last week gonna be true? No. Wasn't even anybody that we knew. It was just a guy named Benny. And then it really begged the question, why would you put a mask on the person if it wasn't going to be a big reveal? I get it though, the dude was trying to disguise himself. He didn't want to be spotted by anybody. He didn't want to put a face to name, even though Bad Batch figured out it was him very quickly when they do get to him and they see that he has their gong. Dude, that clothesline from Wrecker when he tries to get away in the speeder, I'm like, Bad Batch, y'all are really going to let this dude get away so oh my gosh, Wrecker. So yeah, I didn't expect them to get the Marauder back so quickly because that's kind of what this episode is all about. Now, to be honest, I am kind of glad that they did because now that it's not my theory from last week, I kind of just want to move on from this subplot. And this Benny guy has blind loyalty to the mob boss of this town called Mokko. And it's like, there's so many signs to point that like this dude is like clearly abusing and taking advantage of these kids, right? Because he's sitting in that one room with all this food and he's just hoarding it all to himself. And then he makes them all fight over one bowl of soup. Soup? He lowered their wages. And so that's where I'm like, okay, now this episode is going to become a bit predictable because it's like Benny is clearly going to turn on Mokko. It'll result in hopefully everybody turning on him. And sure enough, it does, right? Because like at the end of the episode, they're having that standoff. They threaten to throw Omega off the bridge because Mokko sells them out like I knew he would, even after Omega gave him food. But then like I didn't necessarily thought it made sense then when Benny tried to save him. Like when Mokko's hanging on the bridge, it's like, why would you save him? Like, this dude has clearly been abusing you guys, taking advantage of you. Just, like, let him die. The one kid that was wearing a mask and had, like, the ponytail hair, I'm like, is that just Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender, but wearing a mask? I mean, the outline of his face, the ponytail, like, I'm just like, dude, that so looks like Sokka. I mean, the other Avatar Airbender reference that I got in this episode too is like when Omega gives Benny food, it's like when Katara was gonna heal Zuko's face and then like Zuko ends up turning on her, just like Benny turns on them. Yeah, guys, there isn't really too much that I necessarily want to talk about regarding this episode just because it was like, it was a fine episode. Like, it wasn't great, it wasn't terrible, it was all right. Going back to this episode being predictable as well, predictability isn't always a bad thing, especially when you enjoy what you're watching. Now, again, this episode, it wasn't that I was necessarily a big fan of it. I thought it was all right. I'm just like, okay, we get the Marauder back. We move on from this planet and this storyline, and then we can finally get back to, whatever it is that the Bad Batch are going to be doing now. However, what I will say is we need to distance ourselves from Sid. That's like the big takeaway from me in this episode. Because last episode, Sid's like, I don't know. My hands are tied right now, you guys. I can't help you. Oh, I'll send someone in a few days. And it's like, bruh, after everything these guys have done for you, you can't do them one favor? As far as a Bad Batch member of the week for episode 10, I think I gotta go Omega, because again, Omega just being the person that helps the story go in the direction that it goes in, right? Because like, you know, I said with the Gunji episode, right? Without Omega there, Gunji doesn't trust the Bad Batch. Without Omega here, then I don't believe that Benny ends up turning on Mokko. Because Omega exposes the truth, right? Like I forget what they're mining for, but they're mining for this mineral that they said has been like degraded and it's not as valuable, even though when Omega looked at the scan, she saw that, oh, it actually is really good quality stuff. And then Mokko looked at it and he's like, oh, yeah, that's, yep. And then all the other guys looked at it and they're like, hey, what have you been doing, man? And the way that, like, Omega looked at Hunter when she was about to get thrown off, it's almost like she knew, like, how Hunter was going to end up saving her. So it's like, okay, I'm willing to risk myself because I trust my brother. Another random note, they said that the Techno Union used to control this mine during the Clone Wars, but then it was obviously abandoned. I'm hoping we get an episode with Rex and Echo pretty soon, or even just another Crosshair episode. It's crazy, you guys. We're 10 episodes into Bad Batch Season 2, and only one episode has had Crosshair in it. It's kind of strange, to be honest. Like, I don't know what exactly it is that they're doing, because that Crosshair episode was so good, and it kind of feels like they've just kind of taken Crosshair off the boil now because there's been like zero attention paid to him. And I'm not sitting here saying that like Crosshair has to be in like every single episode, but we could have at least had 2 or 3 episodes with him at this point just to like keep him in the conversation, because it feels like he's so out of the picture now just because we haven't seen him in so long. Like, what's he been doing all this time? All right, you guys, I think that's gonna wrap us up for this week. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know. Also, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel, as I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Share this video with others to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.